What if I told you a man with no army, no money, and no power changed the entire world forever? No kingdom, no throne, no weapons, and yet billions of people still follow him today. This is the story of Jesus Christ. Even today, more than 2,000 years later, people still talk about him, still follow his words, and still find hope in his story. But who was he, really? Let us go back in time. Jesus was born in a small town called Bethlehem, in a land known as ancient Judea. His mother's name was Mary. She was a simple and kind woman. His legal father was Joseph, a humble carpenter. But people believe something very special about his birth. They believe that Jesus was not just an ordinary child. They believe he was sent by God. The night he was born was quiet, but also full of wonder. There was no palace, no rich bed. He was born in a simple place, surrounded by animals. Yet many believe that this child would one day change the world. Jesus grew up in a small town called Nazareth. His life was simple. There was no fame, no power, no wealth. He likely worked with wood, just like Joseph. He lived like any other young man. But inside him, there was something different.
There's only one story from his childhood. When he was still young, he went to a temple in Jerusalem. There he spoke with teachers and scholars, and something amazing happened. The teachers were surprised. They could not believe his wisdom. He spoke with deep understanding, even at such a young age. After that moment, his life became quiet again. For many years we hear nothing. Almost 30 years pass in silence. Then one day, everything changed. Jesus went to meet a man named John the Baptist. John was known as a holy man. He baptized people in water as a sign of a new beginning. Jesus asked John to baptize him, and after that moment, his mission began. Jesus started traveling from place to place. He did not stay in one city. He walked through towns and villages, meeting ordinary people. He spoke to the poor, the sick, and the forgotten. His message was simple but powerful. He said, "Love each other. Forgive others, be kind and humble, trust in God." He did not speak in difficult words. Instead, he used simple stories. These stories are called parables. Through these stories, people could understand deep truths. But Jesus did more than just speak. He helped people in ways that seemed impossible. He healed the sick. People who could not walk, walked again. People who could not see, saw again.
He touched lives with kindness. There is also a story where he fed a large crowd of people with only a small amount of food. People were amazed. They began to believe that he was special. Slowly, people began to follow him. They listened to his words. They walked with him. Among them were 12 close followers,
known as the 12 Apostles. They left their old lives behind to stay with Jesus. They believed in him, they trusted him, and they wanted to share his message with the world. One day, Jesus gave one of his most famous teachings. It is called the Sermon on the Mount. In this teaching, he spoke about peace, mercy, and love. He said things like, "Blessed are the kind. Blessed are the peacemakers." He taught people not to hate, but to forgive, not to be proud, but to be humble. His message was very different from what many people expected, and that made him powerful. But not everyone liked Jesus. Some leaders felt afraid. They thought he was becoming too popular. They worried about losing their power. They did not agree with his teachings. Slowly, tension began to grow. During a special time called Passover, Jesus went to Jerusalem. He knew something was going to happen.
One night, he sat with his disciples for a final meal. This moment is called the Last Supper. During the meal, he spoke with deep emotion. He told them that hard times were coming. His followers were confused. They did not fully understand, but they could feel that something was about to change. Soon after that night, Jesus was arrested. He was taken away by soldiers. He was accused of serious crimes, even though he had done nothing wrong. People spoke against him. The Roman ruler, Pontius Pilate, had the power to decide his fate. Even though Pilate saw no clear crime, he still gave the order. Jesus was sentenced to death. He was forced to carry a heavy cross. Then he was crucified. It was a slow and painful death. For his followers, this was a moment of deep sadness. They had believed in him, they had trusted him, and now he was gone. But the story does not end here. According to Christian belief, something incredible happened. 3 days later, Jesus came back to life. This event is called the resurrection. His followers saw him again. They spoke with him. They realized that his message was stronger than death. After some time, Jesus returned to heaven. After these events, his followers began a new mission. They traveled far and wide.
They shared his teachings with everyone they met. Slowly, a new community was formed. This became the early church. Years passed, then centuries, but his message did not disappear. It continued to grow. Today, billions of people follow Jesus Christ. His life has influenced religion, culture, art, laws, and human values. His message of love, forgiveness, and hope still lives on. Jesus did not have an army. He did not have riches, but he had something stronger. He had truth. He had compassion. He had love. And that changed the world forever. But here is the real question. How many more stories like this are hidden in history? Stories of people who changed the world without power, without money, but with courage, ideas, and belief. If this story touched your heart, then you are going to love what comes next. On this channel, we bring you powerful stories from history,
stories of kings, warriors, geniuses, and ordinary people who did extraordinary things. So don't miss the next story. Subscribe now and become a part of a journey through the most powerful stories in history. Because history is not just the past, it is the story of us.